The screen of my phone was the only light in the darkness of the loading dock. I sat on a plastic crate, the cold of the Ohio night seeping through my work pants, smelling the sharp, sterile scent of flash-frozen peas and ammonia. My fingers were numb, stained with the gray grime of the machinery I'd been tending to for 8 hours. I hit refresh. Then I hit it again. I was looking for a name. My name. But in the family group chat, under the heading Mother's Day Dinner, there were only 3 names listed: Mark, Emma, and Lily. And then the words that felt like a physical blow to my stomach: successful kids only. I looked at my hands. They were shaking. I'm Sarah Hayes. I'm 25 years old, and in the town of Riverton, Ohio, I am the family secret. While my brother Mark wears a white coat and saves lives, and my sister Emma builds brands in a high-rise, I spend my nights in steel-toed boots, hair tucked under a mesh net, ensuring that frozen dinners make it to your grocery store. I stayed behind. When my dad died and the mortgage started looming like a predator, I didn't go to a 4-year university. I went to the plant. I traded my dreams for the survival of the people who were now erasing me from the guest list. The silence of the factory at 2 a.m. is heavy. It's a rhythmic, mechanical pulse that usually soothes me, but tonight it felt like it was mocking me. I could hear my mother's voice from 2 years ago, that sharp, high-pitched laugh she used at the neighborhood barbecue when someone asked what I was doing. Oh, Sarah? She's just taking some time, helping out at a local place until she finds her path. She couldn't even say the word factory. To her, I wasn't the daughter who kept the roof over her head. I was the daughter who made her look bad at bridge club. I stared at the group chat. Mark had sent a flexed bicep emoji. Emma added sparkles. Lily, the baby of the family, sent a crying heart face. Not one of them asked, "What about Sarah?" Not one of them pointed out that the unsuccessful kid was the reason the house they were meeting in hadn't been foreclosed on 5 years ago. I felt a hot, stinging heat behind my eyes. It wasn't just sadness. It was a cold, hard realization. You can sacrifice everything for people who will still find a way to look down on you. My phone buzzed again. A private message from my mother. I expected an apology. Maybe a, "Sorry, I forgot to tag you." Instead, I saw a video call request. I didn't answer. I let it ring out, watching her smiling face on the caller ID, a mask of maternal warmth that didn't match the ice in her texts. Then the follow-up message arrived. "Hope you understand, Sarah. Tonight is just about celebrating achievements. You know you're always part of the family." Part of the family? Just not the part she wanted people to see. I didn't go back to the line right away. I sat there until the dampness of the crate chilled me to the bone. I realized then that I had been playing a game where the rules were rigged against me. I was waiting for a thank you that was never coming. I was working myself to death for a seat at a table where I wasn't wanted. In that moment, something in me didn't just break. It settled. The noise in my head went quiet. I took a screenshot of the successful kids only message. I saved it. Not as a wound, but as a receipt. The next morning, the sun over Riverton was gray and filtered through the smog of the industrial district. Usually, I'd go home and sleep, but I couldn't. I sat at my small kitchen table and opened a notebook. I drew a line down the middle. On the left, stay connected. On the right, cut ties. Under stay connected, I could only think of one thing: their family. Under cut ties, the list poured out of me. Peace, dignity. No more hiding my hands at dinner. No more listening to my mother apologize for my existence. My phone was blowing up with photos from the dinner. Mark in a tailored suit, Emma with a glass of expensive wine, my mother center stage, glowing with pride. "My 3 shining stars," she captioned it. I looked at the cut ties side of my list. I picked up my phone, my thumb hovering over the group chat settings. My heart was thumping against my ribs like a trapped bird. I hit leave group. Then I went to my mother's contact. I didn't hesitate. I hit block. I did the same for Mark and Emma. I stopped at Lily. She was young. She was a follower, but she wasn't cruel. I left her unblocked, a single thread left hanging. The silence that followed was terrifying. It was also the loudest thing I'd ever heard. A few days later, my coworker Mia found me in the break room. She saw the way I was staring at nothing. Mia is 50, with skin like leather and a heart like a furnace. She's seen 3 recessions and 2 divorces. I showed her the list. I told her what I'd done. She didn't tell me I was being dramatic. She didn't tell me to honor my mother. She just leaned back, cracked a soda, and said, "Sarah, a bridge that only lets you cross in one direction isn't a bridge. It's a trap. You didn't leave them. You just stopped letting them walk all over you." With the noise of my family gone, I had all this extra energy. I didn't realize how much of my brain was being used up just wondering if they were disappointed in me. I started signing up for every extra shift, but not for the house, for me. I enrolled in technical courses at the community college, industrial engineering, safety management, process optimization. If I was going to be a factory worker, I was going to be the one who ran the whole damn floor. I started writing too, just an anonymous blog on a site Mia told me about. I called the first post The Invisible Daughter. I wrote about the smell of the floor, the weight of the boots, and the text message that changed everything. I didn't think anyone would care. But within a week, the post had 5,000 hits, then 10, then 50. It turns out there are a lot of invisible kids out there, a lot of people who are the backbone of families that treat them like the dirt under their fingernails. One night, a few months later, I was walking to my night class when I saw a familiar figure by the vending machines. It was Lily. She looked smaller than I remembered, her college hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands. When she saw me, she didn't smile. She looked guilty. "Mom's been asking about you," she whispered. "She's telling everyone you're having a mental breakdown, that you just vanished." I leaned against the brick wall. "I didn't vanish, Lily. I just stopped answering. There's a difference." "She's embarrassed, Sarah. People at church are asking why you weren't at the spring gala. She has to make up stories to keep herself from looking like the bad guy." Lily looked down at her shoes. "I saw your blog. I knew it was you the second I read the part about the garlic powder and the metal. I wanted to say something in the chat that day. I really did. But Mark said it would just make the dinner awkward." "Awkward for who, Lily? For you guys?" "Because it was already pretty awkward for me sitting on a crate in the dark. I wasn't angry anymore. That was the strange part. I just felt distant, like I was looking at her through a thick sheet of glass. You can tell Mom I'm fine. Tell her I'm busy. Tell her I'm becoming successful on my own terms. But don't give her my number. I'm not ready to hear her version of the truth yet." As the months turned into a year, my life transformed. I wasn't just on the line anymore. I was a supervisor. I had a team. I had a salary that allowed me to move out of my studio and into a place with a balcony and a view of the river. My blog had turned into a community. I was getting invited to speak at events about blue-collar dignity and the reality of classism within families. But the real test came on a Tuesday in November. I got a call from an unknown number. I usually ignore them, but something told me to pick up. It was Lily. Her voice was thick with tears. Sarah, the house. It's going into foreclosure. Mom's health hasn't been great, and Mark and Emma. They're saying they can't help. Mark's got his new practice, and Emma's moving to London. They said they've already contributed enough to the family image. I sat down on my sofa, looking out at the river. The irony was so thick I could taste it. The successful children, the ones my mother had bragged about, the ones who were worth a Mother's Day dinner, were nowhere to be found when the bills actually came due. They had the degrees, but they didn't have the grit. They didn't know how to sacrifice because they'd never had to. "She wants to talk to you, Sarah," Lily sobbed. "She says she's sorry. She says she's always loved you the most because you were the strong one." The strong one. That's what they call you when they want to use you as a pillar. I felt a flicker of the old guilt, the old Sarah who would have run back with her checkbook open, begging for a crumb of approval. But then I remembered the loading dock. I remembered the successful kids-only text. I remembered the year of silence, where not one of them reached out to see if I was eating or sleeping or alive. "I can't fix this for her, Lily," I said. My voice was calm. "I spent 5 years fixing things for her. I paid the mortgage while she told the world I was a failure. I'm not the backup plan for when the successful kids fail. But she's your mother." A mother doesn't erase her child to make herself look better at church. A mother doesn't call her daughter embarrassing for working a hard job to keep her fed. I took a breath. "I'll help you, Lily. If you need a place to stay while you finish school, my door is open. But Mom, she has her shining stars. Let's see how much light they provide when the electricity gets cut off." A week later, a letter arrived. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. It was a 10-page manifesto of gaslighting. It started with, "I'm sorry you felt excluded," and ended with, "After everything I did for you, the least you could do is save your childhood home." There was no mention of her being proud of my promotion, no mention of the blog or the work I'd done, just a demand for my labor disguised as a plea for family unity. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I took the letter and put it in a folder with the screenshot of that Mother's Day text. My receipts folder. People ask me now if I'm lonely. They ask if it was worth it, cutting off my own flesh and blood over a text message. And I tell them the same thing every time. It wasn't about the text. It was about the truth the text revealed. You can't build a life on a foundation of shame. You can't love people who require you to be small so they can feel big. I still wear my boots. I still smell like the factory sometimes. But when I look in the mirror, I don't see the embarrassing daughter. I see the woman who built her own table when she wasn't invited to the one she paid for. And that's the only kind of success that actually matters. If you're listening to this, and you're the one sitting on the crate tonight, the one being left out of the photos, the one whose work is embarrassing to the people you love, I want you to know something. Their definition of success is not your cage. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to be unsuccessful in their eyes, if it means you are whole in your own. The bridge is open. You just have to be brave enough to cross it and not look back.